how desperate is President Trump for some palpable victory in his and Netanyahu's war against the people of Iran?
Well, I think he's politically desperate, and I think he's psychologically desperate. He's politically desperate in the sense that this was a reckless misadventure led by two people, Netanyahu and Trump, against almost all professional advice, and it has failed. And it is pushing the world to disaster. At a psychological level, Donald Trump is a mentally unstable person. He is what psychologists call a malignant narcissist, which means that he has delusions of grandeur. He has extreme narcissism. He has a psychopathy, meaning that he doesn't care about who he kills, but he needs control, and he doesn't have control. And so he is making more and more desperate and outlandish and even freakish statements, like his Easter Day statement, which was so vulgar that even the newspapers couldn't repeat it. But this is a man that is unhinged. And so we're facing a political debacle and a mental instability as well. Netanyahu is equally mentally unstable. He put himself in the position of God in his Passover address to the Israeli people, saying that he had visited the 10 plagues on the Iranian people, including killing of the firstborn, which he said was our killing of Iran's leadership. Well, it's a strange position to put yourself in the Old Testament and in that Jewish festival. It's God that visits these plagues on ancient Egypt, but Netanyahu's right there playing God himself. So we have two unstable gamblers who have created a disaster, and they are desperate for some kind of outcome. But because they're megalomaniacs, what they can't do, it seems psychologically, is say, this was a mistake, we stop. That they seem to do.
Will the vulgarity of Trump's tone scare the Iranian people, scare the Iranian government officials? Or will it just embolden them and make them realize what kind of a person they're dealing with?
I think that, when you're trying to negotiate, you try to suss out whether there is the possibility of actually a negotiation. And the Iranians twice tried to negotiate, and twice they were bombed in the course of the negotiations. And when the negotiator on the other side says, either you agree with me or I kill you, I drive you to the Stone Ages, as Trump put it, or as Netanyahu put it, I visit the 10 plagues on you. And when you're trying to negotiate, when Israel attacks your petrochemical facilities in South Pars gas fields, it's not conducive, let us say, to reaching a solution. What the United States and Israel want is full subservience, full obedience. And this is both, again, at a political level. They're trying to demonstrate dominance. They're not trying to find solutions to problems. They're trying to show dominance. For Israel, this is very important that we are the unchallenged power of the region. For the United States, this is very important. We are the unchallenged power of the world. So they're trying to show dominance. When you have two malignant narcissists like Netanyahu and Trump, it's at the personal level as well. These are not cool, calculating negotiators. These are madmen, to use the vernacular. And they don't give the sense to the other side that these are partners for negotiating, and they don't act that way at all.
When Trump did this vulgar tweet or post over the weekend, didn't he offer that he's about to order the military to engage in war crimes by blowing up bridges and domestic civilian power plants?
It's a war crime to say I'm going to send you to the Stone Ages as you deserve. That, by the way, is an international crime because under the UN Charter, even the threat of violence like that is illegal under Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the UN Charter. But Trump acts on it. He's blowing up bridges and chortling about the great success, as in that case, reportedly, I think it's now up to 15 people, civilians crossing the bridge, were killed, and around 100 were wounded. And not only was there no message of remorse, there was delight. This is madness. This is not normal. This is not even normal bravado. This is madness. It's psychopathy, as the psychologists call it. It means the complete lack of empathy and remorse for the harm or the killing of others.
Why are undeclared wars commonplace?
Well, they are commonplace for the United States because the U.S. has a very particular foreign policy. It's the foreign policy pretty much reserved for the imperial power of the world. The U.S. idea of foreign policy is to run other countries' political systems. This is not the foreign policy of almost any other country in the world, even the other major powers. But the United States has the view that it should control the politics of other countries. Trump said, I will pick the next supreme leader. Trump said, I run Venezuela. You don't hear this talk by any other government in the world. Most don't have even a semblance of capacity to try this, so it doesn't even come into their vocabulary. Most have the decency to know that this is insane, but this is pretty much standard fare for the United States as being the world's policeman, which after the end of the Soviet Union was taken to mean we will determine who governs where. We will replace Saddam Hussein because we don't like him. We will replace the Taliban because we don't like them. We will break Sudan into two pieces because we don't like the Sudanese government. We will overthrow the government of Libya because we don't like Muammar Gaddafi. We will replace the government of Syria because we don't like Bashar al-Assad. We will break Serbia into two because we don't like Milosevic. This is the actual foreign policy of the United States. It is extraordinarily destructive, extraordinarily costly to the American people. It has led to a long-term decline of the United States. It's extraordinarily violent, and it's completely contrary to any principles of morality or international law, which, of course, I'm sorry to be naive, because we've already heard the U.S. government rip up any ideas of morality or international law. Mr. Miller, our fascistic deputy chief of staff of the White House, says those are niceties. We're in the world of power. That's what this administration says openly, but alas, it's what most administrations have largely acted upon, though not to the extreme degree of Trump.
Just about 2 or 3 minutes ago, during an Easter egg roll at the White House, the president doubled down on tomorrow is no bridge and no power day in Iran. Watch this.
Because we are obliterating that country. And I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They don't want to cry, as the expression goes, uncle, but they will. And if they don't, they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further because there are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil. Because it's there for the taking. There's not a thing they can do about it. Unfortunately, the American people would like to see us come home. If it were up to me, I'd take the oil, I'd keep the oil, and would make plenty of money.
So at first, this war was about regime change. Then it was about nuclear weapons. Then it was about ballistic missiles. Now it's about stealing oil?
I am still waiting for one, maybe other than Rand Paul, I haven't seen every word he said, but one senator to stand up and say, we have a president that is mentally ill, that is a psychopath, and that is a danger to the American people and to the world. What you just heard is this is not normal. To say, and I'm only quoting the president here, the president of the United States, open the fucking straight. This is how the president of the United States is talking. We have a psychological condition here that needs tending to. This is out of control. It's extremely dangerous. He's going to obliterate a country of 100 million. We don't hear this kind of language. We haven't heard this kind of language since Hitler. The language itself needs to stop. Are there any grown-ups around in Washington left? This is not the language of even war. This is, of course, the language of war crimes. This is the language of delusion. This is a language of a man who thinks that he's on a God-given mission, and people around him flatter him on this. This is a man who yesterday, Franklin Graham, in a Easter prayer that you can find online, said that God has risen up Donald Trump to fight for victory. I'm paraphrasing. But my God, this is something absolutely awful that is happening in our country right now. There are no processes. The generals are being dismissed. The National Security Council basically doesn't exist. You can't find three names. You can't find beyond Trump and Hegseth who really favors this madness right now. And the generals that are getting in the way are just getting fired. And our Congress, which is our theoretical check on such madness, doesn't act at all. So that's why it's so dangerous. We have a completely broken system inside the United States. But Trump, he's laying those Easter eggs for us everywhere. You just listen to any of these rants that the president, without a declaration of war by the Congress, strongly opposed by the American people, with all the warnings of what this could do for global destruction, says he's going to obliterate Iran unless they cry uncle. Come on. Somebody in Washington, stand up and be a person and tell the truth. That's what we need right now.
Which side is winning the battle for the hearts and minds of people around the world? But before you answer that, I want you to watch what two criminal defendants think about this. Cuts 4 and 8, Chris.
The United States has the capability to do whatever it wants in Iran, to destroy the heavy industry, to damage the oil, to hit the bridges, to strike the production sites, to turn Tehran into a flat place. Everything can be done. I think the Iranians have a point at which they will be willing to pay the price.
President Trump, Donald, my dear friend, once again, your decisive leadership brought another great victory to America. I salute you. We all do. Congratulations, President Trump. All Israelis rejoice in the incredible rescue of a brave American pilot by America's dauntless warriors. As a nation that repeatedly carried out daring rescue operations, and as someone who was wounded in such a mission, and lost a brother in the Entebbe rescue, Israelis and I, we know what a bold decision.
First voice for those who are taking the show audio only was former Defense Minister Gallant, who's been indicted by the International Criminal Court. The second voice, of course, was Prime Minister Netanyahu, also indicted for war crimes by that court. Jeff?
First, just a word about the so-called rescue operation, where more facts come known. But the United States lost maybe billions of dollars of aircraft in this. We don't really know the truth about this operation, but it was disastrous from the point of view of the loss of fixed wing and helicopters and a lot more that has not been told. So this glorious victory is something different. And that's why Trump, by the way, is asking for another $500 billion out of our pockets. And that man had the gall to say to the American people, oh, we can't afford health care and child care and the war, so we're just going to have to fight the war. His one-person war opposed by everybody that knows what this is about. And yeah, we can't afford the things to make life livable for the American people. So this is one point. The unbelievable expense of all of this and these great victories, this just terrible brazen propaganda. But just to say, the mentality of the Israeli leaders is so primitive and so vile, it is basically unmatched in the world. They read from texts of the book of Joshua and Deuteronomy, where the order is kill everybody. These are people of hate. They want to kill the Palestinians. They want to kill the Iranians. These are vile, vulgar, dangerous people. We've been fighting their wars too long, far too long. We never should have been part of this hate at all. But Israel became led by the worst haters on the planet. And why I say the worst haters is that their idea of hate is kill, obliterate, destroy, annihilate, exterminate, lay to flat ground. The language of the 7th century BC, not the 21st century. And that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with mental instability and mindsets that have no place in this world today. That's what we're really dealing with.
Well,
it's so shameful that this can go on for a moment and in any way be normalized. And these preachers coming in and saying, yes, this is what God commands. What kind of world are we living in that the president talks about the extermination of other people, tens of millions, if sending them to the Stone Age, and we don't have a Senate that rises up unanimously and says that is not your power and that is not the will of the American people, who speak every day in the opinion polls saying, we don't want this. We don't want this. And we don't want this. So Congress either close up, go home, stop faking it, we'll know where we stand, or stand up and do your constitutional job.
Here's another one from the just about 2 or 3 minutes ago at the Easter egg roll at the White House about the Iranian people and bombs. Chris.
Let me just tell you, very fair question. The Iranian people, when they don't hear bombs go off, they're upset. They want to hear bombs because they want to be free. And the only reason they're not out protesting, you know that, is because they were informed that if they protest, like the wrestler and his friends, if they protest, they will be shot immediately. They don't have guns. You know, we sent some guns, but the group that was supposed to give, which I said would happen to my people, I said it, I called it exactly. We sent guns, a lot of guns. They were supposed to go to the people so they could fight back against these thugs. You know what happened? The people that they sent them to kept them because they said, what a beautiful gun. I think
they sent guns. They sent guns to the Iranians. And our absolutely despicable Treasury Secretary, Bessent, because he becomes more despicable by the day. What a bootlicker and what a sycophant and what an irresponsible person. I'm sorry to say it. But he was the one that said last year the whole idea was to bring people into the streets by crushing the Iranian economy. People should go and listen to Bessent's remarks that he made to Fox Business on January 20th when he was in Davos. And he said, yes, this was a plot of the United States to break the economy and bring people to the streets. And the added tidbit that we've learned in recent days is that not only were we bringing them to the streets, we were sending weapons to them. This is a typical CIA overthrow operation. Stop already. How much damage can you do to the whole world through this kind of so-called foreign policy? Time for some grown-ups.
I do recall what you have just referred to, in which Bessent revealed was to my former colleague Maria Bartiromo in Davos exactly what the American Treasury Department did in order to make the Iranian unit of currency almost worthless so that people would suffer egregiously and come out into the streets and overthrow the government.
But now we're told, it's amazing, because Trump doesn't even have any control over any word, that they sent guns to them for this purpose as well. Okay, for those who would like to know, read Lindsay O'Rourke's book on covert regime change, published, I think it's 2018, if I remember correctly, which describes 64 covert regime change operations by the United States between 1947 and 1989. And there have been dozens more since then. This is the question we started with. This is American foreign policy. Bring down governments, send weapons, crush economies, obliterate economies, bomb them to the Stone Age. This passes for American foreign policy. It's enough. Before we blow up the world, for God's sake, it's enough.